But talking about the floating side of things, is the benefits that I've experienced as an athlete that you guys have been able to provide to me, that I hope you get more athletes in here. And I know the boys came out, the guys that I slid with this, they came in for a float, which was hopefully a positive experience. But in terms of the recovery that athletes need, and telling all the athletes that are out there, or people who are just training hard, there's two ways that you can repair your nervous system. And I think, well, sleep is one of them. And
rest,
and floating, because you're, like you said, it's sensory deprivation, right? It's one thing that allows your nervous system to finally start to rejuvenate. Because if it's not this, it's this. If it's not this, it's that guy dancing with his pants around his ankles out there. He's not actually doing it.
Well, gas night. I
wouldn't be surprised at all.
Not at all.
Yeah. Well, it's so true.
Well,
It's such a restorative thing, and I wish more athletes would get into it.
Mm-hmm.
We had the BC Lions O-line come in. We had Kabongo in that tank.
Did you?
6'8",
He's a big
350
man.
pounds.
Dude, when we
Fit in
had
there, no problem.
Do you remember the Big Show from WWE Wrestling?
Yeah.
He came twice.
Nice.
He's 7'2", 428 pounds, and he fit in. He came back, and for him, like, he was limp. I didn't talk to him too much. He, I didn't want to like bombard a celebrity type. He's just a dude, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, he's probably in his early 40s now, and being that big on your joints, I could see him like limping and stuff like that. So his knees are taking a toll. I can only imagine just the floating aspect of floating. The part where you get to be completely suspended in a solution that completely conforms to every square millimeter of your body.
For sure.
Is just a tremendous release physically, and then that will just kind of compound into a psychological mental release. The extreme physical relaxation you experience in there just automatically puts you into a psychologically relaxed state, and then that starts going deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, there's a reason we've been floating for 4 years and haven't stopped.
So let me ask you a question, and I've come to coin the term when I'm talking about myself or talking to people who don't know, is entering the void. And it's that space of right before you drift off to actually go to sleep, but you wake up.
Yeah.
That would be probably referring to theta state.
Theta state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a way to train yourself to stay there?
Totally. That's what floating is.
But so it's getting to that point and being able to stay there. Because I've been able to get there a couple times in my limited, and I'm a bad ambassador because I haven't floated.
You don't
a ton.
live in the city, so it's okay.
But I've been able to get there a few times during floats. But as soon as I get there, I feel like I get out of it quickly.
Yes, as soon as it's because part of it is like a meditation as well, and like, part of it is like we hear people talk about that state of like no mind or no thought. That is actually going into a theta state through a meditation avenue or through an extreme yoga practice. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's as soon as you kind of realize you're there, you start thinking again.
Yeah.
In floating, it's kind of easier to get in there because floating will sometimes push you beyond theta state into delta, where you actually kind of go into a unconscious sleep.
Yeah.
And then it'll bring you back into a beta, or not usually into a beta. A beta is your most consciousness. It goes. There's 4 levels. There's beta, which is what we're all in right now, this alert, conscious state. There's alpha, which is like a more receptive, calmer state, like if you're reading a book at night when you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
Below that is theta, just as you're falling asleep, just as you're waking up.
Yeah.
And it's associated with greater creativity, super learning,
lucid dreaming,
all that kind of stuff.
Which I heard that's something else.
A holistic experience, if you will.
Yeah.
And then below that is delta, which is the slowest, and your unconscious sleep. And the tank kind of like throws you into delta in the beginning. Like, a lot of people oscillate around that kind of conscious waking point.
Yep.
And at first the oscillations are large. They're up and down, up and down. So you go all the way down to delta, you pass through theta, back into beta or alpha, and maybe even skim into beta in the beginning. But then as you kind of stay in there with multiple floats, those oscillations get less and less and less, and kind of get hovering right along that cusp.
Sure.
And then that's the cusp you want to hang on.
Okay.
And as in some floats, every float's different. Sometimes you'll like get into that space and just the stars align and you just float in there and you're in that zone like the whole time, and it's crazy, amazing. It's unbelievable. You can't even describe it.
Huh.
But then other times it's sometimes if you're a little stressed or just it takes a little bit of time to get into it or you're a little more uncomfortable, who knows? Anything can happen. It's always variable, but you do get way better at it with a relative consistent practice.
Have people started to put some science behind the what's going on?
Yeah, there was a whole wave of research that happened like in the late 70s or 80s and into the early 90s.
Okay.
So there's a lot of good baseline physiological evidence, primary research that happened. A lot of it at UBC actually with Dr. Peter Sudfeld out of the Department of Psychology. He really did a lot of baseline physiological measurements as well as like things like heart rate, hormone levels in the blood pressure, muscle tension, that kind of stuff, as well as cognitive tests, as well as emotional indicators and stuff like that. And so there's a good baseline there, but now it's like, let's take it to the next level of application.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to start seeing probably within the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Awesome.
Is really good research coming out of that.
Awesome.
So
you guys have done it right. That's for sure.
Thanks for setting that one up. We haven't really gone into the depth of floating talk before, but
I haven't. I'm being a little ignorant here because I'm coming into your home without
Hey man.
You're giving back a little bit.
Reading up on enough. I'd like to do some more research and learn about it. And again, what we were talking about before the podcast, there's only so much time in a day.
That's true. That's so true. Yeah.
Cool,
But just come float and relax and feel good.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome anytime.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I think some of the athletes, what might be a barrier to some of them would be like just being still for that long. So many athletes are just so in their body and want to be active and moving and doing things all the time. So the challenge for them is just being still for that amount of time, and
definitely
that's its own discipline. But I think they could fall into it if they apply the same rigor and discipline to floating, essentially, that they do to their training regimes. I think they could master very quickly.
Yeah,
and I think the higher level athletes understand the importance of rest nowadays. I think it's getting better. Like when we were in university, we would play hard. We would play hard, we worked hard, we partied hard, and we would have Sunday to kind of get rid of our soreness and hangovers with maybe a pool workout. But nowadays it's so different.
Totally.
The rest recovery aspect of training is so important that something like this can put you ahead on so many levels of your competition. I hope you guys get some more athletes out here because I think they'll see the benefits really quickly.
Thank you. No, it's we don't see a ton yet. I think this is the odd one. A lot of martial artists,
more MMA guys.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of
Do
Rogan.
you think that's because of Rogan?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. So they're probably the most consistent athletes to come in, or like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specifically, MMA guys after that.
Yeah.
And then, really.
It really isn't hit mainstream sports.
No, sports hasn't got into it yet.
Yeah.
Arts are more into it, I'd say, than sports, like the visual arts and things like that.
Sure.
Music, painting.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense for now, but once is the practical.
Yeah. But a lot of yogis. Yogis are. It's a very great connection between yoga and floating, because yogis do this big physical activity and then lie in that savasana. And sometimes when you lie in that savasana, that corpse pose at the end of class, you get really relaxed.
Yeah.
And that's basically what's happening in the tank. But that's why like coupling it with a yoga practice and then coming here right after, like don't even shower, come here, shower, go in the tank. It's like a super savasana. You can go really deep into it.
I bet.
And that's when we had the tank in my apartment, I did that all the time.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. Yeah.
No kidding.
The yogis and also the psychonauts, and that would be a more niche demographic, I'd say. But the people who go out there and they're drinking shamanic brews in the jungle, or they're exploring their consciousness in different ways with psilocybin or other things. So those types are one of our most positive demographics. They all love it. And it's very comparable to an experience like that.
Well, if the focus is looking for and looking within yourself to connect yourself with yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
I get it.
It's very introspective, and that's the thing. And
that makes sense, right?
And a lot of psychedelics is a very introspective experience. Like you're taking that thing and you're becoming. It's like taking a clarity pill about your life, or an honesty pill, and you're looking at yourself and you're saying, "Oh, this is how I'm living. This is what I'm doing, and I could be doing a lot better in these different areas of my life." And you get a lot of that kind of experience in the tank. It depends on the individual.
Yeah.
some people will go in and have a deep, profound experience, and then other people will come out and be like, I was bored, you know?
Yeah.
And, it's just and you got to question. If you're asking yourself why are you bored? You're bored with your own mind. Like you can't be alone with your thoughts for more than 20 minutes without you kind of going crazy. You know, it gives you a hard look at yourself, and I think that's a huge thing that we're missing, or a lot of people are missing anyway.
Well, I think